Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the first episode in the new series. 30 Strength Bow is the theme of this playthrough. We just finished our last successful playthrough. We sent Leosthenes to Valhalla, but now we're on this new build with Vilmir. And before you start throwing tomatoes at me for doing Strength Bow, please hear me out. Hear me out, alright? Look, I'm just built different, alright? I like playing builds that make the game interesting and fresh, so I don't care if 30 strength isn't optimal. I'm gonna play it because I think it sounds really fun. Before I started this playthrough, I was looking at the scalings for bows. It had some very interesting stuff. I'll show all of that once I get into the build planner. I'm gonna show the build really quick for those that wanna, copy it or play along with it. If you like what you see in this playthrough, here is the build coming up. Alright. Now, while my boy Vilmir, the star of this series by the way, Vilmir, while he's doing his business with Odar and Osbrook, I'm gonna go here into the build planner and show the plan from level 1 to level 30. Again, I don't show the abilities necessarily in a level order. That is up to you, but these are the abilities I choose. First off, full ranged weaponry because, duh, ranged weapons are just OP like that. You cannot skip out on this, so all of this. And for passives, here we have Pathfinder and Survival. That is always good on any character, any build. Always a solid point to pick up. And Warfare. Setup because it synergizes with Take Aim, and given that we're 30 strength, we need the accuracy steroid. Here we have Seize Initiative. Again, helping with accuracy problems. Right on target. Now that's gonna be like a crowning endgame point for if I want to go melee offhand, right? Because this scales off of every point in weaponry, right? I believe it's the main hand efficiency. So every point in ranged weapons, every point in axe is adding an extra % of hand efficiency. And I tested it out in game. At level 30, you get like crazy buffs to your offhand one weapon, which is gonna be the one-handed axe. These are the abilities of choice. Here we have the top row of axes. Then we get Reprisal. This again helps with accuracy problems because as a 30 strength character, I'm not putting any points in perception. By the way, the points, if you haven't seen it yet, I'm going to put it. It's 30 strength, 20 willpower. I'm a very strong believer of willpower secondary on bows because one, it gives you cooldown for your abilities like Distracting Shot and Dash. And it also reduces their energy cost, so you can kite forever technically with ranged, never get caught, and always win. So that's the axis. Into athletics, the usual, disengage dash, elusiveness. We go right side for energy sustainment with push to falling, because 30 strength is going to be causing a lot of knockbacks, and with abilities like Startling Volley, it's going to be dazing too. If we check over here into the scalings, show tooltip formulas, you can see the daze stance scaled with every point of strength. It would also do with perception, but strength too, so it's gonna help there. And strength, like with any other tree, it tends to scale things like shield breaking. Here you can see the block chance scaling in here. It's also present in Seize Initiative. And finishing off with the athletics tree, No Time to Linger is really good. And sprint training, as I mentioned, to buff abilities like Distracting Shots and Dash. Anyways, that's enough yapping about the build. I just did that little build planner portion for the nerds in the chat that like to do their build theory crafting. There's a build for y'all. And now we're going back into the game. I do get very lucky here with the Moose Trail on the way to the Bastion. Pick up that free Crimson Spleenwort, yeah boy. I do use that later for things like boss fights and difficult tier 5 dungeons. But for now, that's gonna stay in the pocket. As always, the tier 1 Gooners, always there to gatekeep you on the way to your missions. They're always there. That's like a given in the Osbrook starter pack. There's gonna be Gooners on the road, and you can't do anything about it. I hope y'all don't mind the dog barking in the background. Already went outside to shush him, but he's gonna do his thing. He's a good boy. I promise, he's a very good boy. He's just doing his job, defending the home from the night intruders. Anyways, as part of the Osbrook starter pack, I always go to the river. west of the Bastion for a little leech bath, if you will. But that's what I always do, dude, because the river, it's always right next to the Bastion, so there's really little reason not to. The only thing with leeches, you gotta make sure you have a little pain medicine. So one thing you can do, you can go to the herbalist and pick up the smoking mix recipe. That's good for cheap pain medicine, but it would behoove you to buy some other ones like herbal extracts, just to be sure you're good on pain if you do resort to leeches. Although with ranged, you're probably gonna end up suffering very little injuries. Ranged is cheating. I certify 100%. Even with 30 strength, ranged is still cheating. Now, I do know that Velmir has been feeling kind of crappy for a lot of players that do the metagaming of this game. You know, they play the optimal builds, so Velmir, he did kind of suck. I'm not gonna lie, he kind of sucked in his previous iteration of his trait, where his effect would only activate when fighting the boss of a bastion, or dungeon rather. And that was pretty situational, but now, his current iteration, he's able to activate his trait whenever he's fighting 5 or more enemies, which it still kind of sucks, but I was thinking that's still good for ranged, because whenever there's a bunch of enemies coming at you, you can still get the bonus on whatever you're shooting at from afar, and then it goes away, whatever. But in the bad situations, if you're ever in a bad situation in ranged, it will help you there. Cons aside, one thing I do like about Velmir ranged, he does start with the training crossbow. It's really good for the start of the game when you don't have good accuracy. Crossbows in general, they have better accuracy than bows, right? And this one even more so, because there's a subset of crossbows that are like lower accuracy and fumble reduction for consistency over damage, right? And for a build like mine that's 30 strength, I value that very highly in the early game. Later on, in the end, I still transitioned to the siege crossbow, the fucking ballista machine, boosted by 30 strength. But in the meantime, hey, we gotta do our due diligence, our level 1 starter pack, training crossbow for a long time. And I'm gonna follow this line of crossbows pretty much until the end game, when I get the better gears, the siege crossbow like I mentioned, and other equipments that boost my fumble chance reduction, etc, etc. And speaking about gears, I know in the last run, I was using some funny questionable gears like the fucking bathrobe. I was actually using that for a good bit of the tier 3, tier 4 portions. And effectively too somehow. But this run though, we're using all killer gears. Given that I'm using strength, I want things that boost my accuracy, right? And in the latest patches, there's a whole bunch of new equipments that we got. Namely, the Blade Master equipments. They give you crit chance, accuracy. I definitely make good use of those later. I get the Blade Master gloves. Also, I would get the Blade Master doublet if I got to it. By the way, this playthrough is ongoing. Currently, the status, I'm at a tier 5. I did clear a tier 5 crypt at level 18, I think? 18 when I entered, or 19. But yeah, the build, it worked out pretty good. Surprisingly in the end. Of course, because it's range, so, you know, range is cheating, blah blah blah. You know how it is. Just casually beating the ass out of all of these guys somehow. 1v fucking what, 4? 5? And I'm just talking over it like nothing. Damn, Velmir is cool. I love this guy. I'm investing in Velmir stocks this patch, for real. I do hear that a lot of players, they struggle with this early portion of the game. My recommendation, you could take Seize the Initiative like I did here. Seize the Initiative, it's very good for the start of the game because it solves your accuracy and fumble almost completely. I think at base values it adds like 10% to each. A little bit more if you have like perception and whatnot. But it's really good anyways for consistency. That's a big problem at the start of the game. Your character is like, he sucks ass. He's a basic human being at the start essentially. So he doesn't have like crazy accuracy, good fumble reductions, but Seize Initiative, it helps a lot with that in the early game. Gets you through to the later phases of the game, and it's still useful later on. That barrel of beer though, cash money boy! And after I get the hostage money too, I'm gonna be decked out, yo! Back in Osbrook, I did have to take a quick break off of the editing. I realized I did not put my clothes to wash for the week. I need my work clothes ready. It's already Sunday. It's about to be Monday. Gotta, get back to the real life contract grind. Yeah, it's not just the in-game contract grind. And then also, I did go to my cats. I said hello, little petting, little head scratching for me to get my situational sanity up. Get that green situational sanity. Fast forward a little bit, just a little chronomancy magic from my editing end. Dude, I wish we still had chronomancy in the game. Maybe not really, just for the memes though. I thought chronomancy would have been really cool. I just like to shit post about it. Man, what a universe we could have been in where Stoneshard had chronomancy and we could time manipulation and shit. But alas, here we are in a version of the timeline where chronomancy was scrapped and it became part of Arcanistics. If you didn't notice, Arcanistics has like the time echo with the stasis. It basically combined chronomancy into Arcanistics, so we will never see chronomancy, unfortunately. We have Arcanistics. But here we are with the level up. I think I get setup here. Setup is really good for early game. If you don't use it like by pressing space twice, just waiting for the brigands to come at you while pressing space, that activates setup. So like I always say, missing is bad. Hitting your enemies is good. It sounds simple, but that's really all it boils down to in a nutshell. So you don't really have to go for all these fancy schmancy weaponry abilities. The really important part is that you're hitting your enemies. So that's why I take things like Seize Initiative, setup for the start of the game, just to make sure I can kill things and make it out alive. That being said though, there are some weaponry trees where you do want to rush the weaponry first because they are straight up DPS upgrades. Like for example, with the dagger tree, you want to get double lunge because it's very high damage, it's reliable, it's strong. Otherwise dagger just as its own, it's a weak weapon. It needs its abilities like double lunge to be good. And then with other trees, you don't necessarily have to get the weaponry first. It's a case-by-case basis, basically. Coming up on Osbrook though, before I come back with the plane, I do find this little bear territory. Easy there, easy there. just let me pick up my Crimson Spleenwort. I'm gonna be on my way, please. Don't mind me, just let me go, please. That's enough with the Osbrook detours, though. I think we gotta go. We gotta go to Bryn. Get me out of here. I don't like staying in Osbrook for too long, dude. I gotta get out of here. I always try to get out as soon as I complete the first contract. As soon as I get the plane for the carpenter and find out about Dwar, I'm trying to get out. I need to go around the world. I want to go to Manshire, do some tier 2 contracts, because tier 1 just, it ain't challenging enough for me, man. It ain't good enough. Oh yeah, look at that, boy. For Valmir, there's just another day at work, dude. Just another day at work. 5 brigands? Light work for Valmir. Look at that. Boom, crit, seize initiative, hit, boom, and they're all running. Damn, that's crazy, dude. The shitty part though, the shitty part about the situation, when they all run away, you have to chase them down, or else the mission won't be complete for Crom. You have to kill them. Don't mind this, it's just me playing a little tetrahedron trolling. Valmir spits on ground. I didn't spit in real life, guys. I didn't spit in real life. Anyways, if you're wondering what that little pop-up thing that appeared was, it's a mod. It's called Tetrahedron. It's basically a console. You could download it. You could use it to cheat if you want. I use it for like challenge things. Maybe at the end of a playthrough I want to spawn some enemies for limit testing, or you know, I just want to look at some things. I also like to use it to make the NPCs talk, to make little funny scenarios like that. The last playthrough I did with the Leosthenes, that one wasn't modded. Disclaimer, this one is modded. I do have this tetrahedron console mod. You just have to trust that I'm not cheating with it. I'm an honest person, I swear. Another disclaimer. This one is not a permadeath run. This one is a casual run, so I take more risks than I normally would. I do die a couple of times because of my reckless playing, but there you go. That's me being transparent. This one, not permadeath. It's just a casual run for fun. I wanted to do a little for fun trolling with 30 strength crossbow. But it wasn't just for fun though, trust me. It was also very effective at the same time as it was being a fun playthrough. Trust me, bro. Trust me. Back at the brewery, Crom and his mercenaries, they're not gonna be ready for this one because I'm gonna cheese them so hard. There's a reason I'm standing right here next to this entrance to the brewery. What you can do currently, because my old methods of exploiting them was patched, you can just enter this barn right after you kill each of them, and then you waste a little time like this. You walk back and forth. By the time you exit, all of the other NPCs outside are back in their original positions, and then I could just rinse and repeat. Pull out my crossbow, the 30 strength shotgun, the shotgun, and then go to town on them. Kill them, go back inside, rinse and repeat. Easy money. For, you know, if you're trying to kill them fast, if you're struggling a little bit, you could do this trick. Be advised though, in this patch, there is kind of a bug where the chest inside disappears. I've noticed it happening when I do this exploit like this, where I'm going in and out. See that chest in the top left, how it's still there? But it appears when you clear the brewery, it disappears. So I don't even know if it's related to this cheesing or something else or other. I just know that's a bug right now where containers are disappearing in the brewery. Be advised, that's a thing. Easy. No matter what game you're playing, players are always gonna find a way to exploit it to the fullest. I'm no exception. I'm always trying to cheat like this, dude. Hey, I'm a mercenary. Whatever gets me alive, whatever gets the contract completed, that's all that matters at the end, right? No morality in this game. Going back in the brewery though, we're gonna see in the top left, as you can see, there's no more chest. I have no idea if that bug is related to my actions here, my exploits, or if it's something bigger altogether related to the location, but the chests of containers disappearing in this area, there you have it. That's the evidence. It's also been reported in the bugs, and I've seen other players experience this, so it's not a localized issue. It's something's wrong with this place. Something's wrong with it. Hello, sir. Yes, I know you're sleeping, but I'd like to place one order of a caravan, please. And a little money for the road, too, if you don't mind. Thank you, old man. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so now that we have the cart for the caravan, I'm gonna call it here for the episode. Thanks, everybody, so much for watching. This is episode 1 of the 30 Strength Crossbow series. Trust me, this build goes really hard later with the big nasty crits. But we're not there yet. We're still doing our dues, getting our levels up, but we're gonna get there at one point. Thanks so much for watching. I'ma see y'all in the next episode. Peace.